Hello plant people, how are you guys doing today? If you're new around here, my name's Ashley and I'm a soil scientist. On this channel, I like to take that science and apply it to all things plants. And in today's video, we're talking about beneficial mites. Yes, the highly requested predatory mites that, quite honestly, take care of a huge majority of all your house plant or indoor gardening pests. So let's jump into exactly what these are, what brand I use, why they work, and some precautions, pros, cons, that sort of thing. So if you want to grab some of the predatory mites that I use, I will leave an Amazon affiliate link down below. You guys can grab some. There is several different quantity sizes, and that's actually the main way in which they sell these is through Amazon, because they do need to be fresh. So they can't just, they're not shelf stable. You don't want them sitting in packages on shelves. That's the key to this. So if you see it in stores, which initially when I found this brand, it was at a store, but typically speaking, if you find live biologicals, such as mites at a store, it's unlikely there is as many viable species or viable mites within that package. So just something to be aware of. If you can get it fresh off of Amazon, for example, you are much better off. What exactly are predatory mites or beneficial mites? They are mites that eat other bugs that essentially suck on plant sap or affect the upper foliage of a plant. And in the absence of the prey, they do die. However, the chances of you totally eliminating all the prey species that they like to feed on is pretty much zero. So there's a likelihood that these will last in your home for a few months. And I have noticed them lasting on my plants for a while, just to say the least. But I do have a lot of plants to take care of, meaning they got lots of food to eat from. If you are able to give them an environment in which they can survive, then they will actually reproduce and you will have multiple generations of these. So if you like them, then just feed them. Make sure you bring in lots of new houseplants on a regular basis and keep their food supply up. I'm sure that will be a problem for any of you. So how do they work? They will eat the issue bug or the pest in different stages of life. So it can eat eggs, larvae, and adult pests. And so it depends on what life stage they're in or what life stage the spider mite has access to those pests at will determine whether or not it's eaten and what stage in which it's eaten. These can be used in combination with the beneficial nematodes. However, I do warn, they eat nematodes too. So if you can cycle beneficial nematodes and then also mites, it may be in your best interest just to be on the safe side. I'm not saying that they're going to eat your nematodes or decimate your population of nematodes. It's just a preventative measure. So I have a list here of all of the bugs that these guys eat. They eat fungus gnats, spider mites, Symphylans, Pupating thrips, root weevils, sow bugs, pill bugs, root aphids, root mealybugs, bulb mites, springtails, nematodes, Varroa mite, red mite, Phoretic mite, shore flies, and rose midge. So not a tiny list. They are quite long, and depending on the species you get, they will have an appetite for different things. The brand I use, that is what it attacks, but we'll get into the differences in types of mites a little bit later on. So you can see them. I'm just going to come out and straight away say that you will see the bugs. They look like mites. So you are physically going to see these on your plants. Now, before you get grossed out, keep in mind your plants naturally have bugs on them. And most of the time, if you have an issue that you're treating, you already have the bugs in the house. So don't shy away from them. They're a mite. They're the same size as a regular spider mite. The nematodes I've talked about in other videos obviously are invisible. You can't see them with your naked eye. These guys, you definitely can tell whether or not they're hanging out. So you're probably wondering, why would you use this over top of chemicals? And the reality is that when you use beneficial predators prey on your harmful bugs, what ends up happening is you have a little mini ecosystem in your home, and therefore you are able to maintain those pests at all stages in life. And a lot of pesticides will claim, including neem or dish soap, will claim that using a spray will take care of the pest regardless of life stage. So eggs, larvae, adults, it'll take care of all of them. And that's not the case, because I mean, you'd have to do a pretty liberal spray of the entire plant. So what predatory anything does when it's beneficial is it breaks that life cycle up of the issue bug. So if we can break the life cycle in any of the stages and eliminate that stage, then you don't have the next generation. And that's what beneficial bugs do. Another thing that I've never touched on when I've talked about beneficial bugs, but in reality is the reason why I do it. Bugs adapt. Pests adapt. And we see this all the time in the greenhouse industry, in farming, you name it, on large scale scenarios. Bugs begin to have resistance to pesticides. That is a reality. So if you're using pesticides all the time, such as neem, and you're noticing it works really well the first couple of times or for the first few years of your plant hobby, and then you notice it starts losing its effectiveness, and you're probably thinking maybe you just got a bad batch of neem over and over again. It's not the case. You may be getting resistance to bugs. And so when it comes to prevention, which anyone with a large plant collection or a plant collection of value is going to do preventative maintenance. I'm sure many of you do this. You will do things with your plants to ensure that the pests never take root, regardless of signs or symptoms. And if you're using pesticides, a neem bath, a soap bath, whatever the case is, you are potentially causing mutant bugs, so that when your plant is heavily affected or heavily infested, you have nothing stronger to go to. It's kind of like pain management. When you are in pain, you try to manage it with the least intense drugs as possible, so that in the event that you need the good stuff, it'll work. And so this is the same thing, except for with pests. And that is the main reason why I use predatory anything, is I like to stay away from the chemicals and reserve those for scenarios where I absolutely positively need them. I'm going to totally butcher the names of the main types of mites. I totally apologize. But the first one is considered a ferocious predator. So these are used in the event that you have an infection or a spider mite issue, for example, that is on the verge of killing your plant. This is when you would employ these guys, and they eat up their entire source of food, and then they're pretty much done because they're so hungry and so fast at doing their job. They don't have anything to live off of after, so you won't expect a ton of generations out of these guys. They're kind of a one and done. And these are the Phytocilius persimilis. I butchered that. I'm sorry, but that is what we're talking about when we're talking about a ferocious one and done mite. That would be them. So the second option, or the other side or the other scale, would be something that's very slow at eating its population of pests. And this would be used in a home scenario for preventative maintenance, or a greenhouse scenario for preventative maintenance. You'd sprinkle them on. They take a while to get through their food, and therefore you can get multiple generations out of just one application, because they're not eating up all their food source. So they're happy, they're living, they're well. And these guys are called the Neocilius californicus. So they eat slowly and they survive a little bit longer. But with the product that I got, which is the Grub grenade, they use a kind of in the middle version of this. The variety that the Grub grenade uses is Stratolapalaps Nematodes. Something Latin. Sorry, I haven't been possessed lately. I'm not great at my Latin. Anyways, this is what the pot shot version of the grub grenade looks like. And so their variety that they use is aggressive when applied in a higher volume. I mean, something that could survive in your home long term if you just wanted to use it for maintenance. Now, how much you need is going to be based on the infection you have or how much space you have your plants planted all over. So when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about the plant highway. And I will show you what I mean by that. So behind me here, we have a small portion of my plant collection, but a portion of it nonetheless. And so in here, you can see the plants are cramped in pretty tightly. This is what I mean by the bug highway, the little bug freeway. Wherever your plants are touching, so where this beautiful butterfly syngonium's touching this aloe vera, or where this, what are our burl marks is touching this syngonium, or where this poor Monstera Peru is jammed inside of this mess of everything that's here, that is a bug highway. As well as up here, we have, you know, my marantas touching my philodendron, and I mean, I got a squam touching my burl marks that apparently is everywhere, but that's a bug highway. Anywhere where these plants are connecting, I would consider one block. Now, if we were to go somewhere else in my house, such as just turning around and looking behind, so we have this alocasia there, my elephant ear there, and I actually have some up on the window there as well. Those are their own separate bug highways, so I don't consider them a part of this bug highway. So when I'm talking about treatment, we're looking at the space here as one treatment, and then we're looking at the space over there as a separate treatment. Here we have an example of a bug highway. We have an Adansonia right beside a Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, and I have a poor micans given to me by one of the followers here on the channel, actually, kind of trailing in that area. And so if I look at the volume I'm dealing with probably about 4 square feet maximum, and that's where grub grenade comes in. If I was dealing with an active infestation of any of the pests that the grub grenade treats, I'm going to put a higher dosage of the grub grenade in my pots. But because I'm doing this for maintenance, I'm not going to do that much of an application. So for it comes out to every 1 milliliter is 25 mites. So if you use an entire teaspoon on this area, you are going to have 125 mites for this place initially. Now you have to keep in mind the mites are in different life stages within this package. You can see some moving around. You can see some that are still in egg. Well, you can't see those ones, but there's one in egg form. So even if you don't see anything yet, just give it some time and it will hatch. So when you're doing a preventative application of the grub grenade, they recommend 25 mites per 1 square foot. So that area behind me where I had the Adansonia and the Rhaphidophora, that's approximately about it's less than 4 square feet. I would say it's probably like 2 square feet total. You could do 2 milliliters as a preventative maintenance. Now, I have a Wilbur here that has got a little bit of a mite issue, and it's mild given, but it's still there. And I would consider that, my one runner is gonna whack you guys in the face. I would still consider that active enough to warrant a little bit of an upgrade and how much I decide to apply to this plant. So if you're in the throes of an active demo, it's 100 mites per square foot. And so that equals almost a full teaspoon. So if you put a full teaspoon per square foot area, then you will be covered when it comes to fighting an active issue. The application for this is actually much simpler than that of the nematodes. The nematodes you have to keep moist, and I recommend, you know, putting them like a paper towel over top of them or misting them on a regular basis, just long enough to get them going. With the actual mites, it's much easier. You just have to sprinkle them in the pot, and you don't even have to sprinkle them evenly or properly. You can literally just dump it all in one corner because they are mobile. So they're gonna cruise through an area. So long as you have the bug highway. If you have the bug highway, they're gonna hop plant to plant to plant. But when you have a breakage in the highway, you know, you're still working on filling that highway in. Am I right? Am I right? That's when you would obviously do two separate applications because they're mobile, but they're not that mobile. So with everything, all in all, the obvious do not do with these is don't use pesticides with them after you put them on. That'd be very, very dumb. And then obviously if you can rinse your plant or do an overhead watering and really blast the plant tissue before applying, that would be ideal, because if you choose to blast them later on, you're going to blast these guys off too. So make sure you do all your prep work before application, and then you should be good to go. So use them as an active prevention. You guys, I'm assuming if you put your plants outdoors, you're going to start noticing spider mites overwintering in your home about now. Maybe you've already noticed them, but they're going to start showing up here in the next couple of weeks because they're ready to go now that they're indoors with you. But yeah, if you guys want to grab some of this stuff, please do. I will leave a link down below. It's pretty awesome. It's literally just vermiculite is what's in there with some mighty friends. So I'm actually going to do this Wilbur right now because I know me and I'm going to forget. I'm going to not measure, because I never measure anything. My brain won't allow it. And yeah, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to let me know in the comments down below. Give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and as always, leave me some recommendations of what you want to see in the next video, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.